Hey Goodfellas, we are here with Manor Haas. Manor, it's great to be here with you for another collector talk, all the way from Toronto, Canada.
I can't believe I'm here. I'm not kidding. It's like, I don't know how many times I've seen this place, seen you. Wow.
Well,
seriously, like, wow.
And
Thank you for having me.
And I'm really happy that you're here because I've seen your collection on Instagram. We've been chatting on WhatsApp and Instagram, and I mean, I've always loved your approach and the deep connection that you have with this writing instrument. So I'm really happy that we're gonna present your collection, your point of view on collecting and using writing instruments. So as a first question, Manor, what I usually love to understand is, what do you do in life? Besides collecting pens.
Aside from this, I can talk about this forever. So I'm an endodontist, which usually people, when they hear, they don't want to talk to me. I'm the root canal specialist. So I've been practicing for years. I actually don't use these gorgeous things when I work. My whole life is digital. So I'm doing surgeries. It's all sterile. It's clean. Not using these, I don't put ink on paper for my line of work, but my other career is also lecturing. So traveling the world lecturing, whether it's in front of 50 doctors or 500 or, so that's my professional life. But this is fantastic. The passion I've had for years.
And I find it super interesting to hear that actually in your job, like everything is sterile, it's digital, so probably everything has to be interconnected, so everyone knows what's happening with the patients, right? But then, when is the moment when you use this writing instrument for your other side? But what are the feelings? Tell us about all of that.
Yeah, so for me, I'm very old school in that I love ink on paper. So it's not when I'm working, not with patients, but it's when I'm at home. I want to jot down some notes, what I have to do. What ink I have. I just love that. The, to-do lists, ideas, and then sometimes it's weird. Just you go out and about, and some people wear a nice belt, they wear a nice watch. I just like to have a pen. Just knowing what it is, it's with me. So it's away from the professional work. When I'm lecturing, I always carry a pen with me. It's usually in here. I use it. Even nowadays, you go to stores, you actually don't even have to sign the bill. It's all tapped.
Tapped.
Damn it, people like us don't like that. But I still love bringing it out. It's no different than, again, women like to wear jewelry, perhaps. For me, it's the pen.
Absolutely. Are you also a watch lover? Are you someone who appreciates fine timepieces?
I do. So old school stuff, my life is digital. Why do you even need a watch? Why do you even need this? But I love it. It's old school. It's stuff that has been around forever, will be around forever. So having a mechanical life, watches, like I have my dad's watch that I got as a teenager and it means the world to me. Yeah, so I've always loved watches also. Although that's a whole other world where it's become so hyped up that I'm actually starting to get almost turned off by it. Versus this, which is still so pure. So I mean, when it comes to really watches, I love pocket watches. Like, who uses a pocket watch?
No, true.
Like, you hold it, you look at it, you say, wow, someone used this decades ago, 100 years ago.
Absolutely.
And it's still functional. So I love watches, but again, that's become so hyped up, it's kind of become disappointing, people jumping on that.
When did you start collecting pens? Also maybe versus collecting watches? When was the point?
So I'll tell you, my first pen that meant a lot was like this Parker one, which is my late dad's. And I've always used it. I'd have an agenda book when I was in university. And then I graduated, and about 25 years ago, I thought, I just want to finally have something nice. And I got this, just pure, simple Faber-Castell.
Classic Graf from Faber-Castell.
Wood.
Granadilla wood, huh?
This sucker writes. It's just, I could be an old man, and this will still be just beautiful, classic. And I loved it. So this was about 25 years ago.
Wonderful. 25 years ago.
Yes, it's been a while. And then afterwards, I thought, okay, I love Faber-Castell. I actually love their stuff, their history and their tradition, and you look into what they do and family.
Huge legacy, right?
Oh my God, like when can you have companies say, yeah, we've been around forever.
And we're still family owned,
Yes.
and we're around since six generations.
And we still, like, you know, for their woods, we plant our own forest, our own, like, who says that?
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And so then my first son was born, and I thought, I gotta get something nice. And I got this, and this was a big purchase for me.
How long ago was that?
So this was 2008.
2008.
Like, oh my God. And I remember holding it at the time and thinking, that's massive. That pen of the year is massive. And now I look at it and I go,
You know
what?
what? It's one of my favorite.
So I love that piece.
And I see there's something special in here.
So I've got his name and year and date of birth engraved here. So can you imagine who engraves pens? I mean, right away the value is like you think.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, sentimentally here, it's huge, it's priceless.
It's not meant for resale or stuff like that.
No, I mean, there's some collectors that's like, I wouldn't even let this see any sunlight. Me, inked it right away, right with. Look at that nib. It's gorgeous.
It's such a huge sentimental value connected to a memory.
So for me, it is. And then I remember being so impressed. I mean, this is a parquet floor.
Yeah.
84 pieces, perfectly cut out, in a circular fashion, put together.
Insane.
Not on a flat floor,
Yeah.
but like this is pen of the year. This is Faber-Castell. You know, and this is when I fell in love with their pens of the year.
So you prefer this pen of the years than the latest one, for example? I like the criticism also, and the point of view.
I do, like the very loud ones I'm not crazy about.
Yeah.
Let's say more recent one, the Samurai, you know, I love it.
Yeah.
Even though it's very heavy, I write with it.
Maybe the Palaces one weren't the big hit.
Right, but there's some of these, like for me, I love wood.
Yeah.
Wood with metal.
Yeah, I've always
in this modern world, to have a natural material with metal, I mean, I just love this company to the point where this over here, this cap is, you know, you put your wax and you stamp your name on it, and there's a reason for everything here.
Yeah.
And so I fell in love with the pens of the year, and I've got a number of them, but that is special for me.
So your love of writing instruments really started a bit with Graf and Faber-Castell, which I think it's a nice thing to know, because everyone has his own. Most of the people started with Montblanc, right? In your case, you're saying you started with Graf. That's a cool thing.
And for me, it is, because it's right. Montblanc. It's like saying, "Oh, I'm just going to get a Rolex," not realizing the history behind the company and the quality. Like it's just a name, and that's how I thought about Montblanc years ago. Oh, it's just a name. Everyone's got it. Like. And so I was turned off by that, and I would get more Faber-Castell to the point where, like, their pencil, like, who needs to pay, you know, a few $100s for a pencil? A pencil. I love writing with a pencil.
Yeah.
There's something pure, old school, and you think, well, of course, they're not going to just make any pencil. They've got an eraser over here. You want to sharpen it? There's a sharpener. Like, there's. It really is impressive. You should have a pencil in your collection. You should write with pencils, not just ink. And so I really went deep with Faber-Castell. I love that company and what they do to pen world and the tradition. And
and I think it's important to recognize that Graf von Faber-Castell has been kind of the inventor of the modern graphite and pencil, right? And so pencil was the the father of the fountain pen, right? Was one of the first ways how you could actually express yourself on a paper. And then obviously, you know, we had Parker and Waterman coming with with modern day fountain pens, but so there, I think it's different than watchmaking. Watchmaking has always been tools and gears. Gears that work with each other. With writing instrument, there is a deep and I'm saying this because after I'd love to know your opinion on that also with the digitalization. So with writing instrument, what's different than watches is that it all started with writing things on stone, you know, in a
Yeah.
cave, right?
Yep.
And then it developed further, and it became a pencil, and then it became all about inking a feather in the ink, right?
I know.
And now we are at fountain pens, and now we are even at celebrating fine writing instrument, because handwriting has become kind of unnecessary. So what space does handwriting has into today's digital?
Yeah, so you're right. So today we don't need a watch. We don't need pens, pencils. It's all digital. It's a personal thing. It's an emotional thing. It makes life more interesting. You know, when you put ink or lead on paper, when you have something mechanical that you could say is so unnecessary, but it brings us back to roots and to our parents and our grandparents. And the beautiful thing is these will still all be functional years from now. I can't see us all of a sudden saying, no, in 50 years, we're just going to be digital. Some things have not changed and will not change. You always need to know what time it is. You always need to write something down. And I find we're sort of going back into more pure things. I mean, I'm blown away by how many people I've met that are into collecting by using.
Right.
Using
yeah,
pens.
not just like...
It doesn't go in a safe, it never sees the sun. It is incredible how many people are coming back to this. So I see that there's an emotional but practical side to all of this that my kids will also, I hope, will use and appreciate. And I mean, in fact, just the other day I had my younger son actually trying out, I'd say half the pens here. Literally trying it out.
How old is he now?
Like... So he's 12.
Okay, perfect.
And he was 11 at the time, and okay, here you go. Put this on. I would show him how to hold these things, and carefully, and how to press, because not everyone knows how to use a fountain pen initially. And I say, now try this one, and now try this one, and see how they have a different personality. And people who are not into pens would say, Manor, you're really, it's just a pen, just use a roller ball. And he got it. Like, he could understand. Each one's got a different personality. And that's why you get into collecting, because each one of these potentially unnecessary things has got a different personality, the way they write, they feel, what they mean to you. I have this one, as Pen of the Year, which was for one of my boys. And then when my other one was born, I thought, I got to get a pen.
Yeah.
And so I have figured I got to get the 149. The power pen, the one that presidents, prime ministers, when they sign important documents.
El Presidente, right?
It's this. Just look at that.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree.
I'm telling you what you know. Just a gorgeous nib from a company, Montblanc, that you think, what a giant of a company. Oh, they're so big, but so pure. If you want to have you got to have a 149 in your collection. You have to, and use it.
Yeah.
And I got it, and guess what? I engraved this one also, of course.
Can I see it?
And so his date of birth, his initials are on it. Amazing. And I'd be the happiest person in the world to give my boys these pens and to use them. Now what I do now is I engrave all my Namikis. I'm just joking. People watching this are probably having heart attacks right now. No. But
I needed a second to realize what you just said.
Did you just? But that's when I got introduced into 149s.
And I love what you said about Montblanc. I love how you started being a bit like, okay, Montblanc is a bit the Rolex of writing instruments, but actually they are kind of preserving writing instrument industry. Especially in the last 15 years where there was this big crisis due to iPod Touch, iPhones, Apple Pens, iPads. They preserved the industry, and now we are restarting. It's the 70s of the watch industry.
Yes, so I agree. This massive company under parent company Richemont, and you think, oh, they're just commercialized. They're making millions of pens. Like, yeah, but they're still there, and they're promoting it, and they're putting so much time and money and effort. Really, my hat off to that company, because what they do, and they keep it pure. Yep. So then, I fell into 149s, and for example, then I had to get the 75th anniversary of this iconic 149 Mother of Pearl, which is becoming hard to find and hard to make.
Still with the sticker.
You got to keep the sticker.
Yeah.
But of course, there's ink in it. There's red ink in
red
there.
Ink. You know what ink you have in it?
It's red. Oh, so I have Montblanc red ink in it.
Yeah.
So I keep it pure.
Is it the Modena red, probably, huh?
It is, and it's got to be I keep it, Faber-Castell inks. I actually love their inks.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Montblanc inks, and then I've got
You ink the
just
Fabers
Sailor.
with the Fabers.
I do.
You ink the.
I do.
And you ink the Namiki with
Pilot, of course. But this is meant to be used. Enjoy it. It's got the little diamond up there.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
not a crazy expensive.
No.
These are not. You could buy some
It is
watches
rare.
people get that are just insanely expensive. This is, when you think about what you get, something that'll last generations. It really will. My iPhone is not going to last, it's not going to be here in 2-3 years.
This will.
Forever and ever. Seriously. It's one of the cheapest things you can get if you really want to look at it that way when you think about these things. And I'm not trying to justify it, but...
No.
I have to hand it to Montblanc where they really are very reasonable. I mean, so of course, what an iconic year. I've been waiting for this year for years, where the 100th anniversary, once in a lifetime, the origin, once in a lifetime. When can you say any company, 100 years? That is really impressive.
The model 100 years, right?
And masterstroke. I mean, what, the most iconic line, I think it's the most widely sold line on planet.
It went over any Parker 51 by now, over the last 40 years.
Yeah. And then...
Awesome. The original. Well, what do you think about this model?
So,
people have been hating a bit on the clip. Some other loved it. I'm a fan. I love it. Well, what do you think?
So I love it. I'm very critical, and I thought, no, it's going to be one of these classic clip, no different than, this 90th anniversary classic clip. This is sort of what I expected.
Yeah.
Which by the way is, insane. I look at this, see there's the ink in there, of course.
Yeah.
It's got to be inked.
Yeah.
Use it. This is what the artists use it for. Don't just put it in a safe, and I don't care if it takes away from the value of it. Oh my God! Look at that!
And the mix with the ruthenium going into the rose gold,
and you just see it right through. I mean, you gotta hand it, and it's actually comfortable to write with. And so talk about the 100th. All of a sudden, they have a vintage. Yeah, so it was like, we could be, let's say, at a wedding, at a big function, about some important event. There could be, I don't know, a world leader in the room. If you took one of these pens out, I'd be like, can I be your friend? I don't care what they're saying. I would be in awe.
I love that because it's such an indicator of who the person is and that he goes beyond the cliche kind of things, right? And I always say, if I see someone with this pen, I would say, can we go for lunch and you'll tell me who you are, what you do in life, what your background is. So probably if I would have met you like that, I would have been like,
my God.
Who are you? Please let me know.
Oh my gosh. So I mean,
sorry,
chapeau to Montblanc.
Absolutely.
Gorgeous. And so then came the 100.
Yeah.
And like, what's with that clip? And then you realize, no, there's a reason for this. So I love the fact they kept the size, went old school with the writing, old school clip. For me, I use them, I write them. I want to know, how does this clip on here? I like clips that work. It's not going to fall out. It's actually nice and strong. I love this. Even to a point where, I mean, each one is different. That you've got the
this celluloid-like pattern.
Almost like if you drop ink in water, how does it flow through?
Yeah.
There's a reason. There's a history. There's tradition behind it. And the sucker works. So when I got this, and I was very fortunate to have this, the first person, so of course inked it right away, and the first person on this planet to use this and to put this on paper was my son. I gave it to him. Okay, and that means the world to me.
Yeah, that's
and so my son was the first one. This little guy was the first one to write with it, and it just meant the world to me.
Every time you pick it up and use it, it reconnects you to that moment somehow.
It does. This is my dad. I have my dad's watch. It sounds so old school. It's like, oh, come on. But it means the world to me in this crazy world. So my hat off to them. The Origin collection, even to a point where, I love fountain pens. I have to have a rollerball. I'm using this here. And I like slightly bigger pens. I love this thing.
I see. You
it's
got also
so
the
practical.
green classic rollerball.
Green. Oh my God, green.
Yeah, but beautiful writing instrument. Beautiful.
But practical. So I was on an airplane coming here, and I was doing paperwork, and interesting, you're reviewing. What do you do nowadays when you have to review a whole document? You print it up. You print it up.
True.
You don't
True.
put
I do the
ink
same.
on.
Yeah.
You can only use an iPad with a digital pen so much. In the end, you still put it on paper. Isn't that crazy? In this world that's digital, we print it up, and then on the paper we're jotting things down. And that was me on the plane. Now, one thing, it was interesting. So as I'm there and I've got my documents sitting on there, this thing rolled off, and I see that was like me on the plane, and I thought my heart stopped. And it fell between the seat, and I was like, oh my God.
How are you gonna find it?
And everyone else in the plane's like, it's just a pen. Oh my God, it's crazy. But you gotta have a rollerball.
Yeah.
I mean, again.
How many rollerballs do you have in your collection?
I'd say I got half a dozen. I use them well.
Oh,
I've got a ballpoint. I like rollerballs, but then which one? Actually, no, I'd say
you use
I've got some
ballpoints too?
Omas. I do, but I like rollerballs.
Yeah.
Montblanc rollerballs. I find very smooth. I've got Faber-Castell, Omas, some classic Omas ones.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have this, a pencil, ink. It's just
different
days,
kind
different
situations where you're gonna use one or the other.
Or usually I'd have two pens in here, and I go to a meeting and I'm just at this, like, no one looks at this, like whatever, but I know what it means.
Absolutely.
And so I love the 100th anniversary, and I've been waiting for years for this, because when I got this, I thought, okay, the 100th's gonna come, and let's see what it is. And there's a lot of tradition they put behind it. But, so then I love Montblanc. And, to the point where I love wood. I love wood, natural material. Montblanc, Faber-Castell are phenomenal with this.
Lubrac.
Yeah, Laguiole, classic Laguiole.
With 925 sterling silver, which was one of the last one that they did in 925 sterling silver. So highly valuable writing instrument. We had one, we sold it. I think it went to Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. It's
a lucky owner, and I hope they use it and ink it, and they
see
how it patinas. So you and I had a conversation about a pen I'm hoping I can get, where some complain, it patinas so much that it's not that shine. It's not like that perfect shine something else would have. But for me, it's like leather. You want to clean it, put the cloth, brand new. But there's some things that build personality when you have this. And for Montblanc to pair up with, this Laguiole, it's beautiful. With the mother of pearl,
on
again,
the top,
rare.
absolutely.
Hand finished, hand polished by a human being, not a machine.
How many pens are inked during
any given time?
Yeah.
I'd say easily 6 or 7 I have in front of me.
And then you clean them out and everything?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You do a cleaning, I'm terrible with my pens,
I do. So you had a video recently about flying and how do they survive, and I love that. And people listen to you. You know that. Like, Samuel, I gotta see. So I'm on the plane and I'm starting to take out my pens, and I'm under like, oh yeah, this one's leaking. I'm not gonna say which one because I want people to love that pen. I love that. But it's interesting how, so it leaks. I actually love it when you see people who've got some ink on their fingers.
Absolutely.
My line of work, though, I have to be careful, because if I have red ink and I'm with a patient and I'm looking at the computer screen at the X-ray, and they go, wait, why is there blood on your hand? And I go, no, it's ink, I swear. But they're not going to see it. They see red. So my line of work, I have to be careful. I actually, if I clean it, I would do it, let's say, on a Friday, maybe Saturday morning. So if it does get on my finger, not that I'm sloppy, but if it gets on my fingers, I don't have to worry by Monday morning. But it's weird what I have to think of.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so it's, I love cleaning them, changing the ink. Some take forever, like some Namikis take forever to finish.
To finish, right? I also have the feeling there are pens where, like, they just keep on going forever. I don't know why. I have my Design 08, for example, is one of those pens where I just keep. Now it finished. Like now, but it was like, when did I ink this one the last time? And I do write quite enough, Yeah. So it was kind of interesting.
See, for me, talk about ink. What's always important is I want it to work. Like some of these, what matters to me is, does that pen actually work? Like Angie, you had Angie, on your collector talk. I remember she was saying she wants a pen that can keep up with her writing.
Yeah.
And I know what she means. Like some just take forever and you got to go over a few times. Whereas I could take a 149 and it's been sitting, and like I use this pen hole, by the way. This is my pen hole. I got to say, this is for my kids. I was waiting for them to grow up. Can you grow up so I can finally use your little boot as my pen holder? It's one of my pen holders. And it could be sitting like this, upright for a month. I'll take it out, put it on paper, works. And I got to hand it to them. Like, it's beautiful when it works. It's annoying when it doesn't.
Yeah.
If you're a user, that is.
But it is super
So
annoying.
between how long it lasts, but does it also work? That matters to me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There's another thing that I'd like to ask you, Manor, is what is the feedback from people about your writing instrument? Your friends, I don't know, maybe family, good and bad.
So most people wouldn't even notice it. And then I have people where if I'm somewhere and I could be wearing one of these pens, I could be at a conference, I could have hundreds of professionals in front of me, and I'll have any one of these pens and like look at it and you're like, okay. If it's got, let's say, the Montblanc, and they go, oh yeah, Montblanc. They have no idea really how much it is, or a couple of $100 or what. They have no idea. If I have some, let's say, Japanese, they totally have no idea, and I love that. So it's totally under the radar.
But they're loud still. So do they ask and like, what are you using? Like what?
They would say, oh, that's cool, using a found pen. But they wouldn't notice the barrel behind it. And that's what I love about this. Unlike, let's say, watches where it's become so hyped up. Oh, you got a rose gold Rolex diamond blinged out.
Daytona, whatever.
Great. This is still pure. Found pens, I find it's still a pure community where we would love one another, but it's under the radar.
Let me ask you a thing and interrupt you real quick regarding that. Don't you think, one of my purpose and missions for what I'm doing is I'm in contact with the brands and I see that there must be a growth in order for the brands to sustain what they're doing, which somehow also means there's gotta be a certain hype that needs to be built around. But now we come to the but. A watch you wear, a writing instrument, you do something with it. And so the bond that you create with the writing instrument is different. How do you see this perspective? Like what do you think about
it's interesting. When you write, you do feel a connection. Like I have some, pens, especially in here, a fine nib, fine Japanese nib. You could do architect work with it. And you actually hear it scratching the paper. Talk about a connection. It's like with a watch, you wind it up and you listen to it. With pens, I love even listening to how it scratches the paper. You have a real bond to it. Watches, it's become so hyped up. I'm getting turned off. Pens, I agree, you need some hype. Like the 100th anniversary, the origin, there's a lot of hype behind it. Good. Because we're still with pens where watches were 25 years ago. That if I was ever lucky enough to own a Patek Philippe, I'm sure I could walk into a Patek store, and if they had that one, like, I'll take it. Manor, it's yours. Done. Now, I'm not saying just Patek. I'm saying in general. They'd say, really? You got to buy, and I'm just talking in general in the watch industry.
Absolutely.
You got to buy 50 garbage pieces. Maybe we'll do you a favor and put you on our list. I can come into this boutique and say, I would
love it, and you're going to get it.
It's yours.
Yeah.
It is so pure.
It's pure.
We really are. This is like a honeymoon period for, I believe, writing instruments where we are now, it really is where watches were 20, 25 years ago. And it's growing, but the growth is incredible. Like the people I've met through Instagram, social media, the friends I've made, it's crazy. And then all of a sudden you realize, I didn't know who was into pens before. Like, are you going to be a geek if you're into pens? Like, they're the coolest people out there that are into this, and they're getting it, and it is growing and growing, but it's pure. We complement one another. We don't show off. It's not like you're showing up with a Ferrari or a crazy watch. It's, you got something gorgeous, we're going to compliment. And it's so pure. I love the pen community.
I think you said it. It's where the watch industry was 25 years ago, and those collector of 25 years ago in the watch industry are those that would never buy a watch because of the hype, but they would buy it because of the history and the meaning and the craftsmanship behind it. So you guys, you, Luca, everyone else who I can name.
Because Lars has been here.
Lars, exactly. Sandro. You really understand the philosophical thought behind it and appreciate that part. And probably what's going to happen in 15 years is that we're going to start, I think it's going to take less than the watch industry, because the watch industry was started in a moment where luxury groups didn't exist back at the time, right? Yeah. Luxury groups were made
ones.
thanks to the watch industry somehow. So probably this will take a little bit less. Probably in 10 years, we're going to have a certain kind of hype. And the problem, and I'd love, since you've mentioned it, I'd love to talk about it, and I'd love to talk about it with a business person like you, because I think that people are going to find this extremely interesting, and I do hear this parallel about the hype, about the fact that you can't walk in a boutique. On the other end, the big problem is that watches are so hyped and so sought after that the risk is that if you just sell an Nautilus to anyone, they're going to flip it.
Right.
And so you gotta somehow make sure that it's someone who is a spender, who is a collector. I obviously do not agree with the fact that you have to buy 6 rubbish pieces before you get what you want. I do not agree with that. On the other end, we also have to say that a lot of people, everyone is going for the same references.
Supply and demand, and I get it. You want to go into any luxury brand, where it's Hermes, and you want that thing called Birkin, and there's only so many people.
Or a Porsche, I don't know which limited edition.
And I get that. I mean, and it will reach that point because it is really growing.
Especially in this range, right? And some,
like this.
Even this, right? Yeah.
You're not going to get ever again.
Yeah.
Ever. You say, oh, now you can, and it's so reasonably priced. It's so, for what it is, oh my God.
Yeah, 1,200, right?
It is, it's a lot of money, but it is so reasonable for what you get and what it represents.
We
but
spend
it'll
so
go
much
up in
money
value.
on stupid things, And yes, do we need it? No. Do we work for it? Yes. And if we can afford it, then that's a personal decision of everyone. I think every one of us is doing good, is giving also work to other people.
No,
and so if we can afford it, that's nice. But you're correct. It's a kind of democratic luxury, isn't it?
It is, and it is now. It's such a honeymoon phase, but I love seeing younger people also getting into it. So recently there's a friend of mine who's a watch collector, a very particular, beautiful watch. It's very niche. And he goes, Manor, what are you into collecting? We just bring up the conversation. And I love fountain pens. And he was and I told him about it, and I told him certain fountain pens. And I took him to a local boutique just to appreciate, and he's never written with a fountain pen before. And, but he got it, he understood. I showed him, I said, try this nib, try that nib, try that, see how it feels different. Look how it feels in your hand. It's almost like within that hour, I was sort of mentoring him about what took me 25 years to realize.
Love it.
And he was hooked. It was for me like the happiest day, because now, like what you're doing and changing the game, like seriously, is me, one person at a time, and I know others that have been here also the same. This is how it grows in a pure way. It's not an investment. Oh, I buy it because it's going to be worth twice as much. It'll go up in value, or it'll not lose value. And even if it does, you're buying emotional value, practical value. But oh my gosh,
what you're doing, Manor, is much more valuable than what I do, because I have skin in the game, and it could look like I'm just trying to, at the end, sell writing instruments. But what you do is really pure. And I'm also a collector at the end of the day. Obviously, if I wanted to make money, I would probably do something else in life.
I know. You never stop. Oh my God, I text you I don't know what hour of the day, and man, you're on.
But you do.
So on that note, you have worked how many? I know. I don't want it to be a moment. You've worked how many years to do this? How many handshakes? How many text messages? How many trips to build this? How many subscribers have you had in a niche market, crazy niche market, to the point where I had to bring this with me. So this is for you and the people around you to toast afterwards. This is for you to open when it's special for you.
Wow.
And it has to be a special year.
I know that
so it's a special year, and
thank you.
But really,
thank you
to you. It's from us that follow you, that subscribe, and I mean it, not to flatter you, not to
I
patronize you and the people around you.
Thanks. I really appreciate
You're
that
so
immensely.
and I'm not trying to flatter you. You're so pure in what you do about something that's so niche. Yeah, you can make more money in more things. So I want you to enjoy this with the people around you, and remember, like, people appreciate. I mean it.
Thank you. This is very rewarding to me.
I
Thank
enjoy
you.
it on behalf of like all of us that just adore you. And
Thanks.
so yeah, that's
wow. This has
it.
been really
You've worked
rewarding
for
for me. Thank you for your words, and
enjoy it.
This is what I do this for moments like
I believe
this.
you.
Really,
No, I believe you.
And also the fact that you stopped in Switzerland to do this and to expose yourself
Pleasure.
towards people who you're gonna inspire with, and the other people, the other collectors also inspired a lot. I think this is so valuable and it's so emotional, and I think this is really coming over. Thank you so much
oh
for
my
this.
God, you're most welcome. Oh, you're most welcome. So even this person that I recently sort of mentored, who went deep all of a sudden into all this.
I'm gonna put it here.
No, you've earned it. You've earned it. This is from all of us that love you.
This is my little Oscar.
No, I'm serious. Yeah, I like that. Can I engrave your name? Yeah. But so here's someone that I who follows you, was not into fountain pens, but he's heard of you. It's impressive. And then he went deep into fountain pens. He jumped right into it, which took me 20 plus years, and he got into like stuff like this, which is insane.
Which I think is the perfect moment now to kind of unveil it.
I mean, for me, after years, I have to say, like, for me, the niche has become stuff like this, and it's history and tradition. Where, I'll start with some like this. This is a Namiki pre-war, which is very rare. Where they worked with Dunhill. You recently went there. Dunhill, first class kind of a company, and they teamed up with this gorgeous Japanese artwork on a barrel. And they said, we can market it around the world for you. And they didn't make that many before the war. I think like
actually, no, Manor, you're mentioning that next week is going to be a very special week in this regard, and interesting.
I'm blushing. I want to. Okay.
You know nothing, unfortunately, but
but I'll tell you, the history behind Dunhill Namiki is insane. And I'm fortunate to own this. 100-year-old. Look at this pen. It's actually.
Yeah.
It's inked.
It's inked. You're actually
it's
using
inked, and it's meant to be carefully, but it's meant to be enjoyed. And so I had to get the sister pen of it that 100 years later that Namiki made, the same fruit tree. And here it is, years later. Not a very expensive pen, but
do you like the Yukari size?
So I like the Emperor more, but the artwork behind this is mind-boggling. The craftsmanship. Talk about Yukari. My precious Yukari is this Nightline. I was very fortunate, thank you to a friend, to have this from 1994. When you look at so I could go to a conference, I'll bust this out, I'll write, they'll look over and I go, oh yeah, whatever, nice fountain pen. Not realizing the artwork that goes in. So they lacquer all of these pens. You got an artist using a material from woods that's not easy to extract. They lacquer, let it dry in humidity, then polish it with charcoal, and they do it over and over and over and over again. And then they put rodent in there. They get that from the inside of shells. Perfect. That under light is, I could just stare at it all day. I could
Star Wars.
When you have babies and they have these things hanging over them so you can distract them.
That's our
can be like
grown up.
Let me just look at but that
and sleep.
I am so fortunate to have.
This is incredible.
I love rodent. And so the artwork behind Namikis, and not just Namiki, but any Urushi Makie pens is mind-boggling. Something as simple as this. Anyone just
you use this a lot?
This is my workhorse.
Workhorse, huh?
This is one that I loan. I love loaning things to friends that I can trust. And so I gave this to my dear friend who's wasn't into fountain pens. He is now. And I said, use it. And this is like the 149. You know, you look. This is the
Yeah.
Japanese version
of the 149. 100%.
You look at that.
And since you're holding this too, please keep on holding them, right?
So,
and that's the other.
I love sailing.
Brother, right? Sister.
So what I should do is I should actually show the nibs. Yeah. So here's a Sailor Wabi Sabi.
Number one
of 88. That nib.
What a legend.
That I was fortunate. Look at that.
No, you're
nib.
a legend.
That nib, but it's inked. Yeah, number one.
Of course.
It's inked. It's meant to be inked and enjoyed. And you look at that, and you look at this, you look at this, and you look at the 149. So number 20, 149, and the Sailor King of Pen. These are meant to be used and enjoyed forever and ever. When my iPhone is going to be useless, this will not.
Be still around.
So
when there's an apocalypse, we're still going to have our pens with inks.
Yeah.
No, but I often think about that, and I think about the fact that even also watches, you know, if there's ever going to be no electricity, this is how we're going to we'll be able to communicate, right?
And not only that, but some of these pens really keep their value. So again, when you look at how much some people blow on a watch, this is nothing.
Yeah.
But it is so special.
But again, Manor, I think it's nice because it gives also the opportunity to a younger generation to acquire something that is luxurious, very luxurious. I often say it's a factor per 5 or per 10 compared to the watch industry. So if you have a writing instrument for $3,000, it's almost like having a watch for $20,000 in terms of range and of.
But some are still so inexpensive.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at some of the current generation Japanese.
No,
I mean,
this should be double as expensive as it is.
So
no discussion.
Something like
Chinkin. This work at this price.
I look at Chinkin. For those that aren't familiar, to me is an artwork. It's a dying artwork. It's been around for ever.
Thousands of years.
Ever.
Yeah.
You got craftsmen with tiny chisels. Fraction of a millimeter deep, different kind of chisels, and they chisel away, and they carve away on a beautifully perfect Urushi lacquered, barrel on there, and they scratch it. And they do. If you look at this, like I have to, I always tell people, get a phone with a good zoom. Camera, and like I would literally zoom. I would show people on there. Then they get it, and the artwork. This is like underwater 3D world where they chisel it on this perfectly lacquered pen, and then they gold dust over it, then they lacquer again and let it dry in humidity, and they polish it with charcoal. And the depth of this 3D world is mind-boggling. And what's incredible about Chinkin is there's zero room for error. You chisel one thing wrong with, the whole thing's for nothing. Out of the thousands and thousands of little chisels, zero room for error.
Consistent all the way until the artwork
art
is finished.
form. And you think about how many months it takes them to do this, and how few artists on the planet can do this. And it's a dying art. Because these artists are not coming back.
And this explains also where this is going to end up in terms of value. Okay, I always say, do we care about that?
No, we don't want to get ripped off. But you don't want to get ripped off. And value matters. I don't want to buy something that's going to lose all its value.
And I would even say that this is undervalued at this stage, right? I mean, a normal calculation in order for a company to maintain the future of such an art, you would have to sell this at a higher price.
You look at how many months it takes, months it takes to make this, how few people on the planet can do it.
We're probably talking about 5 months for such a work, 5 to 6 months.
And you think about how much this is, and forgive me, we work hard for this. We're lucky to be able to own this. It is so cheap. Seriously.
Yeah.
A watch that could be made by some brands out there within minutes, by machines, months, and this is a fraction of what that watch goes for. And then you look at the
show us,
like this is where so some people would look at this and would go, okay, this is like a normal size pen, and then you have this is already like the 149 size, like that's a good size, like big enough. And then you hold one of these and you go, that is huge. See, I just look at this and
wonderful.
Forgive me, I have to, like this is, I'm just drooling when I see it. The artwork is magnificent. So you got
Yeah.
crushed quail, eggshells that are
Eggshells,
perfectly laid down like tiles on art, like on a sidewalk that's perfectly done by an artist. It's crushed and tiled together in such a way and lacquered over by an artist, a human being, with maquillage that's brushed on with brushes that are a fraction of a millimeter, all by hand, by a human being at the peak of their career. Look at that nib, the number 50.
Two-tone with the Mount Fuji.
If people get into, they're fortunate again, you have to have a Namiki in your collection. It's something, and I wanted to bring some of these discontinued
show
ones.
us the other ones. So this is what? This
So
one.
this is the crane.
This is the crane.
This is from the 1980s.
1980s.
So you got, look at this beautiful black. It's such a rich, deep black, and it's got rodden on it.
Yeah, wonderful.
With, mother of pearl, not just sprinkled on. They're actually laid on in such a way that's perfect with an intention. And you've got the dragonfly, which is very symbolic in Japanese culture,
Absolutely.
with the artist's signature on there. It's a work of art. This is a work of art. It just happens to be the canvas is round, but it is a work of art that's been around forever and ever, and it's a dying art unless we support this, and not just with Namiki, but with Sailor and other companies like Pelican makes beautiful ones. But I wanted to bring these sort of discontinued ones because like this.
Insane.
Again, I need a moment. Like this is. For someone, so
they're saying it close up right now while we're talking.
Okay.
So
it is just, what I love, you feel it. You could be somewhere talking and you feel it in your hand, how the maquillage is raised. It's not just you brush it on, but the depth you have, the 3D world that you have in there. Again,
the shark is really one of the most insane pieces.
It is. I'm so fortunate to have
pieces.
that. Right.
What year was it?
This was. Oh my God, I'm blanking out. This is in the 90s.
90s, huh? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, probably.
My God, I'm blanking out right now.
Or early 2000, maybe.
Yes, I believe so.
Wonderful.
It is early because it was one of their pens of the years that they made. So it was early 2000s, correct?
Early 2000.
And what's incredible is so 80 pieces on this planet of billions of people, made by an artist at the peak of their career.
This is
very few can do it.
You don't remember the artist, right? Is it Kawaguchi?
I can't remember the artist.
Yeah,
I mean, talk about artists. You get into artists, and I have one here by Sakachida. And there's some artists where you just have to have.
Show us.
This is like the imagine you have one watch. It's got to be a Rolex Daytona in steel. Not because it's Rolex, but because it's an iconic one. And this is what it is with let's say Namiki. And you just show this, and you could just tell from the top what it is. And this is classic. It's the goldfish. There's one to have. If there's one to be fortunate to own, it's the goldfish. Sakachida.
Sakachida is the master of the Kokokai group, almost the boss. I mean, maybe this is a bit, but he's kind of like
he is respected,
exactly.
Adored.
And he's probably one of the next living national treasure of Japan.
Absolutely.
But he's too young still.
But the day will come when he will retire, and no one will ever make this again.
Yeah.
No one will make this again. And we have to appreciate this with these pens. These are artists, human beings. It's not like a watch where the machine will still do it. And this is a human being that took months and months and months to make that. Very few can actually do it. Again, it's a dying art form. And it is stunning. When I look at that, it's...
Sakachida.
And what's interesting about these emperors is as massive as they are with the ebonite barrel, it's very light, very comfortable to actually hold and write with.
It is huge, but once I always say you only understand an emperor when you start using it, right?
And then you realize how comfortable it is.
Yeah.
Versus
and this big nib where you actually see well what you're writing, right?
I just stare at the nib, yeah. And that feels so different when you hold that than, let's say, a brass barrel like a Yukari Royale.
I love the brass barrel.
I love Yukari Royale. So Yukari Royales, I use them, I waste no time. Like something like this that's discontinued. This is from 2011. I mean, look at the mother of pearl in there, all the patterns in there. And I wanted to bring these because For people
No,
that are
we're
not into
so
Namikis,
happy. We're so happy to see that.
whatever they have now, whatever is available, if they're lucky enough to buy one of these nowadays, in 10 years, it'll be like me holding these going, remember these? These have become iconic. The current pieces today, like something as simple as the lioness and cubs and the frog, in production, limited, but in production, in 10 years, we're going to look back and say,
You remember when
I have
they used
one
to
of
do
these
this?
babies.
Yeah.
And there's, for what they are, months to make this. It takes months for one person to make that. And you compare it to other things that people blow their money on, and this is like a bargain. And again, it's certainly, we're talking, a few $1,000s here, but you compare it to what people blow money on, and for what it took the artist to make this, it's nothing. It is, I think, so fair.
Totally
Even,
agree.
you look at the Sailor pens. They're King of Pen nib is stunning. Their
For
artwork.
For me, best nib on the
21
world
karat,
is
love it.
unbeatable. Isn't it? Like
It is something like this. I look at this and I think, I just love it. Here's Japanese art where it's this that you think is done. And the artist said, no, on purpose, I'm going to make it look like it's aged.
Yeah.
Because this world, the intention is, life is beautiful, but it's very fragile. On purpose, we're going to make it look
imperfect also, right?
That's what they wanted to do. And I just
and then
love
having
that.
the number 1 of 88
I'm
is
very
just
fortunate to
out
find
of this
that.
world.
But to ink it means even more. But it's a pen, and
Let's quickly go over Manor. I mean, I love the length of this collector talk. The longer,
sure.
the better.
Okay, yeah,
The
forever.
longer, the
I'm
better.
sorry.
And
Omas. So this was the first pen, I would say. I bought it with my wife in New York, and I spent $800 about 20 years
in New
ago.
York? Tell me.
I
Was it
bought it-
Art Brown? Was it Fountain Pen Hospital?
It was Fountain Pen Hospital.
Okay, Warren Street.
Yes.
Of course, I know.
They got terrible hours. What a great place. And I bought it, and I thought, $800? Crazy. Even my wife, who I'm so lucky to have her. So many reasons, but she's very supportive.
Of
I'm very
this passion
fortunate.
you have.
And I remember even back then said, that's an expensive pen. Because you're at a point in your life where, get your priorities straight. Before you get into some crazy pens, pay off your debt, pay off your home. Get your priorities straight. I'm old school that way.
I agree.
Immigrant family, hardworking, pay off your stuff, and then enjoy it when you have. Don't think, I'm going to buy it because it's an investment. Meanwhile, I've got a mortgage to don't do that. But I bought this.
I mean, buy something that is reasonable to use and that 100%. You can enjoy.
And just be smart about it.
Exactly.
But I mean, I would hope people would get into this in a young point in their career. Especially because this is the honeymoon period. I really believe that.
Just to let people feel good, I'm a young entrepreneur. And I'm not in a position where I can own such a collection. You're in another situation in your life at this stage. So just to make everyone feel good, I know that this is an amazing investment. I'm in the industry. However, I'm not in a position where I can have this collection for myself. And that's totally fine.
You're humble. But but you could still have, you could buy a Yukari.
Exactly.
And even
and we
what
come
artwork?
Back. Yes, I love that.
It's just a different size.
Yeah.
It's a different size canvas than this.
And it's somewhere 2,500, 3,000. You put a bit of money every month, and at some point you'll just be able to buy one.
And you're not gonna, again, I don't look at this as investment. I don't like it. People in watches, it's an investment, and now what happened? No, enjoy it. But if you have this last forever and ever and ever, it becomes
it's a legacy that you give.
My phone, you spend $2,000 to get a phone,
right?
And it's going to be good for 3-4 years. Yeah. When you think about it, and you don't even blink, you just get the phone. I got to get it.
Yeah.
Teenagers get it.
Yeah.
Versus for that money, you can get some of these
sneakers at I don't know how much, like $500.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeezys, whatever.
And it's gone in no time.
Right?
All of a sudden, this is not that expensive, and I'm being humble in saying that. And then I look at this. So it was so expensive at the time, but I loved it. So here's the wood from the barrels at Krug, this beautiful champagne company with such history. Used with Omas. I love Omas. Beautiful Italian company, tradition, and just classic nibs.
Sterling
and you see
silver
the
medal
on there.
trims, huh?
And what's interesting is you come to realize how we're very fortunate to talk about these. You put things in perspective. It's a crazy world. God forbid people in our world are not healthy, and you say, it's just a pen. It's just a pen. As much as I love these. So someone very special to me, I had this somewhere sitting down, someone very special to me, just who was not into fountain pens, picked it up, and they were just playing with this. Oh, this turns. I didn't even know what it was. And it was inked, of course. And then the ink just seeped through, and you see the ink right here on the barrel. Yeah. And I remember when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God. And then
how long ago did this
So this was maybe 15 years ago. And you know, you're not at the point in your life where you've been humbled in life and you've gone through so many things. And I remember that moment going, oh my, what did you just do to this rare, limited wood? You can't replace this.
Yeah.
And then you step back and you say, it's a pen, enjoy it. You know, that story, I will never forget, that makes this pen more special to me. When this over here patinas, it'll mean even more to me. Enjoy it. These artists that have made these things, they did it so you enjoy it, not to put it in a safe and not to see sunlight. And so that pen is even more special. This Omas, I love Omas.
Wonderful piece. I'm happy. I'm glad to see it. And since we were talking about patina.
Yeah, so I love patina. I don't know if there's something special you have. I love patina.
Let me pick something. Wait here.
All right.
Don't follow me.
No, I'll stay here, I promise.
So Manor, there's something here which will definitely get a patina. It's all wrapped up. You asked me about this.
We talked about, I see what, so I asked you, what do you think? I hear on the internet people complaining, oh, it patina's so much, it looks ugly.
It does. No, it doesn't look ugly. It patinas so much.
My God. So my letter opener is a Laguiole knife. I wish I had it here.
Wait,
I've had it for 20 years.
I have an absolute terrible.
I have so much respect for Laguiole.
Japanese cutter.
This French town that just specializes in these fine knives, handmade.
It's a nice.
Okay, I'll take it.
Not fancy at all.
I love it. Let me see.
It's as live as it gets. Huh?
Okay, hang on.
I think you can.
Usually think, okay, I'm just gonna. Yeah. All right, forget it.
Yeah. It's a babushka, you know. There is a paper.
I know, you open it and there's more and more, and in the end, it's just a tiny little pen in the air. Oh, wait a minute. 100 years. Again, when can you say 100 years for any company on this planet?
True.
Oh my gosh, I have to.
True.
Okay, I've never held this. I've only.
You probably only see it like. It's as new as it gets, huh? It's as new as it gets.
Oh my God. Okay. So first, I have to say, like, that I love. This will patina. I already want to put my.
I love it too. I love it too. Medium nib.
That's heavy. Oh my God.
Is it still with?
It's still. Here,
you do it.
This is like me at work, right? Sharp instruments.
Look at this. And the point with the design C is as soon you take it out, it has a patina, and it's silver.
Oh my God! So when you, I bet on camera it doesn't do this. It is heavy. It is so clean.
All
so simple.
Yes. And you know, you gotta risk something to do things simpler rather than complicated also, right? And it's really all about reduction, and what I love about it is exactly that,
it's
right?
It's the minimalist, it's simple as it looks. When I read about it, look, it's already got my fingerprints on it. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Is pure minimalist, but with intention. I mean, right here, these two dots, so it's not going to roll over. Everything's got a purpose. Perfect. Oh my God.
Just arrived from the factory from Pforzheim, okay? So
I cannot thank you enough. I mean it. No, I mean it. So you know what's interesting is you're in a line of work where, man, you work hard. But you work hard making people happy. I don't know if you ever stop and think about that. We're blessed to be able to enjoy this, and we earned it. you're in a line of work, you make people happy. Not many people could say that in this world. Look, I'm smiling. Like, this is
and I'm happy you saying that.
Thank you.
It gives purpose to what I'm doing again. And congratulations. Congratulations on this amazing piece. You know what I think about it? We talked about it. I did video, so I'm not gonna re-say all of that. But I think this is a wonderful, also kind of conclusion. It's your first Otto Hood, right?
Yes.
No Design 08 yet.
No.
At one point, I will convince you on the Design 08. Because I think it's one of the most Japanese German writing instrument in the spirit. But this is incredible. Yeah.
Even this, the leather.
And doing this case also, how complex it. I remember Marco Frey telling me about how complex it was and expensive. Complex is often expensive. It was to create this.
I believe you, and I love this almost as much as this.
They're complementary, right?
Like I have a Nakaya, leather pouch per pen, and they're just beautiful.
Yeah.
There's something about leather that'll patina, and I can't thank you. I can't wait to put ink in this today.
We're gonna do that right after, right?
This is getting inked.
Amazing.
And
I'm sure you will enjoy it a lot.
100 limited edition. Never again will it be 100
Let's see what
years.
number it is. You see it on the back. 067.
067. Nice.
That's a nice number.
Love it. Small number.
Yeah.
I would take whatever number it is. That's why I didn't even ask you, what number is it? Or can I get this number? Like, whatever it is, it's meant to be.
The point is, it wasn't even written on the... And I wanted to keep it close for you to discover.
But thank you. But I know some people would say, no, I want such and such number. And that's great.
Yeah.
No, I'm just... A company that's been around 100 years. Now it's just over 100 years. And it was such a rich history. And they said, no, we're going to keep it minimalist.
Yeah.
But with a purpose.
You got to have courage for that, right?
That's gorgeous. I can't wait for this thing, Patina. I can't thank you enough.
No, Manor, I thank you so much, first of all, for making it all the way through. Second thing, we thank you all so much for sharing all of your thoughts and emotions. And I think I felt something. David is watching, he felt something too. and we were talking yesterday about this whole philosophical thought behind writing, and today we had another point of view from someone who's a businessman who's very successful in what he does, because you put a lot of dedication and passion. It's been a huge honor for me having the chance to do this collector talk, and I'm pretty sure that everyone will enjoy very, very much. Thank you so much, Manor. Thanks.
Oh my God.
And I would say, yes, absolutely. And at this point, what I'll have to do is, don't forget that together,
we're changing the game. Big time. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Wow.